Country will lose 211 billion. That is in regards to the big number. We'll be talking about that with Wakili Dedan Shege and also try to make sense of the political scene in the country with Vivian Ta. All right, start engaging us on our socials. Satamwai Brian on Twitter at Lookuptv. The hashtag we are using tonight is Lookup Weekend tonight.
Tonight on Lookup Weekend, we have our own demands, says Azimio, as they distance themselves from the Kwanza statement. Also tonight, the cost of living debate is in our manifesto, says President William RUTO, as he dismisses that there will be discussions around the cost of living in the Obasanjo-led talks.
If in the next 2-3 months you are of good behavior, there is no demonstration, there is no chaos, we shall return the men to you to guard you.
And denounce violence before we give you security, Gachagua tells the opposition.
All right, now our sign language interpreter tonight is Angel Lois. Now let's start the program tonight. Just to remind you that you can be part of this program by engaging us on our socials. That is Atamwai Brian on Twitter at Lookuptv. The hashtag we are using tonight is Lookup Weekend. Now, the proposed fresh talks between Azimio and Kwanza appear to have hit muddied waters after the opposition disowned a joint statement released on Saturday. Now, in a statement on Sunday, Azimio accused the government side of deceit, saying the statement was one-sided and signed by only Majority Leader Kimani Ichung'wah.
As the Kwanza side and the Azimio coalition gear themselves for fresh talks, facilitated by former Nigerian President Olusegun Obasanjo, the difference in topics of discussion has become a subject of debate, as both sides present different points as the issues of focus.
It's apparent from our statement that indeed there was a meeting chaired by His Excellency Honorable Obasanjo. And Baba accepted to appear in that meeting because of his respect for His Excellency Honorable Obasanjo. And as we have pointed out very clearly in our statement, that meeting did not conclude on any issues. It was a meeting to agree on when to hold the talks and how to hold the talks. So there were no issues canvassed there and agreed.
On Sunday, Azimio came out to distance themselves from a statement issued by Majority Leader Kimani Ichung'wah, purporting to be a joint statement of the two political factions.
Yesterday, Kwanza released a one-sided statement signed by Honorable Kimani Ichung'wah that they claimed to incorporate our views. We disowned the statement by Honorable Ichung'wah. Azimio had nothing to do with it.
On Saturday, Ichung'wah issued a statement saying the talks will focus on the reconstitution of IEBC, implementation of 2/3 gender rule, the entrenchment of Constituency Development Fund, establishment and entrenchment of Office of the Leader of Opposition, and embedment of the Office of Prime Cabinet Secretary.
It is our position that no party to these negotiations can and should determine for the other party what to raise and what not to raise. We will respect Kwanza's right to bring all its issues to the table, and they must also respect ours.
Azimio coalition has maintained that the cost of living is at the center of the talks.
Our priority for discussion is the escalating costs of living, which has only got worse with the lifting of the conservatory order on the 2023 Finance Act last week. We want to see actions by the regime that will lead to the immediate lowering of cost of living. It is our position that this issue does not require any discussion, but policy or action by the Kwanza government. Negotiations must therefore include the repeal of the oppressive, cruel, and insensitive Finance Act 2023.
The issue of inclusivity is also on the table for Azimio as they ready themselves for the talks.
Negotiations must include the issue of inclusivity. Kenya Kwanza must be made to disown and disavow the illegal, unconstitutional, and divisive efforts to turn Kenya into a private company that hires only those who voted for Kenya Kwanza.
Azimio also maintains that despite the talks going on, they will continue engaging with Kenyans through assemblies. The coalition has also accused the Kenya Kwanza side of trying to downplay the presence of Obasanjo in the country to facilitate mediation, as President Ruto acknowledges having had a meeting with the opposition chief.
They denied the presence of President Suluhu here a few weeks ago, and now they want to deny the presence of His Excellency Obasanjo.
Azimio also will table audit of 2022 elections and the bipartisan reconstitution of IEBC and respect for autonomy and independence of political parties. The coalition also said they will bring to the table the issue of accountability and responsibility for the brutality and abuse of human rights of protesters.
Now, as the opposition coalition continues to insist on the cost of living being their priority ahead of the talks with their Kenya Kwanza counterparts, President William Ruto now says the cost of living will not be a subject to the talks, rather in the talks between the two political formations. Dazian Ketani now reports Ruto noted that his administration has put measures in place to in accordance with their manifesto in a bid to address the high cost of living.
Just a day after both sides of the political divide issued a statement regarding truce talks to be officiated by former Nigerian President Olusegun Obasanjo, with Azimio Umoja insisting on the cost of living remaining a priority, President William Ruto has rubbished those claims, insisting that the cost of living will be addressed through the Kenya Kwanza manifesto.
Naona viongozi wengine wanasema kwa ile maneno ambayo imesemekana itajadiliwa, wanauliza wapi mambo ya gharama ya maisha. Mimi nataka niwaeleze mambo ya gharama ya maisha iko kwa manifesto ya Kenya Kwanza. Pale ndio tuko na mpango mzima na maalum na tayari tunaitekeleza. Na gharama ya maisha haiwezi kutatuliwa vile wao wanapendekeza. Atifujo, maandamano, sufuria kwa kichwa, bei ya unga itabadilika namna gani, hata kwa dawa ama uganga ama uchawi.
Speaking during a church service in Kwale County, Ruto noted that his administration was keen on ensuring farmers were fully supported through provision of more subsidized fertilizers.
Wakulima wetu tumewasajili, niliwaambia kazi yangu ni kupunguza gharama ya mbolea na kuhakikisha kwamba kuna mbegu. Mbolea tumeteremusha chini kutoka 7,000 mpaka 3,500. Nikiwa hapa Kwale na watangazia kuanza wiki ijayo tutateremusha tena ikuje chini kutoka 3,500 mpaka 2,500. Wakulima nao nasema wamefanya sehemu yao, kwa sababu kwa mara ya kwanza ile ardhi ambayo tunatumia kuzalisha chakula mwaka huu imeongezeka kwa ekari 1,200, kuhakikisha kwamba wakulima pia wanafanya sehemu yao. Mimi nawaambia wakulima wa Kenya pongezi.
With the court validating the school feeding program, Ruto reiterated his commitment to partner with county governments to ensure students remain in school, while calling on parents to ensure they enroll their kids to school.
Bado tuko na watoto wetu wengi ambao hawaendi shuleni kwa sababu ya kukosa chakula. Na ndio sababu katika budget hii tumeweka bilioni 5 kuhakikisha kwamba watoto milioni 4 wa Kenya wataenda shuleni na watapata chakula shuleni. Na nimesema ya kwamba kwa wale counties ambao wako tayari kushirikiana na sisi katika hiyo school feeding program, We are going to make sure that for every shilling you put in school feeding, we will put and give you a shilling so that we can co-fund school feeding.
Days after the Court of Appeal lifted conservatory orders on the implementation of the Finance Act, President RUTO continues to insist on development projects being funded by taxpayers as opposed to borrowing to fund the said projects.
Tulikuwa na matatizo ya mambo ya madeni, na niliwaeleza ya kwamba hatutaendelea kuwa nchi ambayo ni ombaomba. Kushoto tunaomba, kulia tunaomba, mbele tunaomba, nyuma tunaomba, juu tunaomba, chini tunaomba. Hatutakuwa nchi ya aibu kiasi hiyo. Tutakuwa na mpango ya kujisimamia wenyewe. Wale mambo ambayo tumeyafanya kudhibiti uchumi wa taifa letu la Kenya ndio imesababisha kwa mara ya kwanza tangu tuwe na katiba mpya, pesa zote za kaunti tumelipa kwa wakati wake. Pesa zote za CDF tumelipa kwa wakati wake.
Ian Keitani, Lookuptv.
Now, with the Azimio la Umoja One Kenya Coalition Party and the Kenya Kwanza leadership reaching a consensus to allow dialogue following the anti-government demonstrations that will be mediated by former Nigerian President Olusegun Obasanjo. Today, on Your Opinion Matters, we sought the opinions of Kenyans on whether they think the talks will change the economic situation in the country.
For the peace of Kenya to be there, Raila has to be there, because it's part and parcel. When we went to the last elections, you also had a very large percentage of Kenyans. Obasanjo can tie these two men together and then agree on how we share these positions in the government. We are not going for bei ya maisha. We are now going for power.
Itatusaidia maybe kama vitu zitakuwa zimeteremshwa chini, bei ya vitu. Lakini kama wataongea na vitu bado zikuwe tu vile ziko, hatutakuwa tumesaidika. Anatutetea na still bado anajitetea yeye mwenyewe. Anacheza side zote vile.
Itakuwa mzuri juu pia hii maandamano inatumiza sio wengine. Juu unapata kuna sisi wengine tunafanya kazi za hapa na pale, si kazi zenye za ofisi, unaona. So hii maandamano kikuja na tuharibia kazi, hatupati chakula. Mimi naona Raila kivyangu, Raila anajiongelea vitu zake, si atetee wananchi.
Raila asiende huko ajipendekeza yeye mwenyewe, aende huko na aseme kinyalikuwa anasema watu rudi kwa barabara. Hiyo kinyalikuwa na mean, aseme hiyo kitu na itendeke hivyo. Isikuwe ameenda handshake alafu sisi mwenyewe tusaulike kama wananchi. Mmoja watu wengine atasema hata Raila yenye mwenyewe aumii. Sasa ni sisi wananchi wa kawaida ndio tunaumia. So ingekuwa vizuri waongee, wapate vile wanaweza tatua hizo mashida. Kama ni kurudisha bei ya bidhaa chini, watu wasikie poa.
Hawa jamaa hawezi kutusaidia. Wao wanapanga plani zao peke yao. Kwa hivyo mimi naona hata maandamano yenyewe haihusu hali ya maisha. Kwa sababu kama ni hali ya maisha ilikuwa imeanza kitambo, hata ingeanza last year. Sio handshake pase, lakini tuseme kwa siasa, kila mtu ako kwa siasa kutafuta power. Na power sio ya mtu. Kwa hivyo wakikubaliana apate power kidogo na Kenya iendelee mzuri, hakuna shida.
Mimi nakuanga mlengo wa Azimio. But kwa saa hii mahali imefika, naonelea ni vizuri Raila na the president wakae chini waone vile wataendesha the country, kwa sababu I think kuna ile kitu the opposition side Raila anaweza fanya yenye pia the government hawezi fanya, because I think kila mtu akona kuna ile kitu mtu anaweza fanya professionally than the other. So it's good they sit down and talk. Kinaona sana anatetea mwananchi, anatetea uchumi, na pia unaona kama tukiangalia president wamekuwa all through we've been following, wamekuwa kwa chama kimoja. So ni vizuri pia wakae chini wasikizane, kama kuna differences wakae pamoja, ndio kila mtu apate kitu yake. Kila mtu, even us, everybody want to be employed. Pia baba pia anataka pia kazi pia, na watu wake pia wanataka kazi. Baba atatetea wananchi. That one I know, because ukiangalia historia, he has liberated Kenya from far. So I know he's going to stand with the citizens.
All right, those are views from different people in this country about the talks that are supposed to be facilitated by former Nigerian president between Kenya Kwanza and the Azimio One Kenya coalition. We do want to take a short break here on the program. Don't go too far. We'll be back with more, including Matter Sports and also a weekly segment of the big number, looking at the biggest number of this week. We're talking about 211 billion Kenya shillings. That is the amount of money that, if at all the conservatory orders will still be in place, the government was going to lose in terms of taxes. I'll be telling you more about that and also getting to understand what next now that Okiya Omtata, that is the senator for Busia, has moved to the Supreme Court to appeal the decision by the Court of Appeal.
Nyakua mita na Lotto every hour. Get into the Lotto money train and win big. Mara hii you win 20,000 times pesa zako. 50 bob inakushindia 1 million shillings every hour na up to 40 million shillings every day. Usiwachwe nyuma. Mamili ni moto moto na Lotto. Nenda kwa M-Pesa paybill number 777-000. Andika neno look kama account name. Cheza na kati ya shilingi 50 hadi shilingi 2,000 na ubambeto na Lotto.
Over 18s only. Gaming can be addictive. Play responsibly. This message has been approved by the BCLB.
The future is hands-on, and Sensei College is at the front line of technical institutes in Kenya, offering practical and skill-based courses accredited by all concerned bodies, TVETA, NTSA and NITA. Sensei College offers driving and plant operator, cosmetology, fashion and design, mechanics, hydroponics and irrigation, installation, building construction, hospitality, photography and video production, electrical and electronics repairs, and ICT courses. Get free plant operator training when you enroll for plant mechanics, free driving when you enroll for motor vehicle mechanics, and free riding when you enroll for motorcycle mechanics. The requirement is an ID only, with intakes every first week of the month. We have 2 campuses in Nakuru and Nairobi. We provide meals and accommodation. Sensei College. My skills, my future.
Infinity Industrial Park is one of the largest private industrial parks located along Eastern Bypass, Nairobi, which provides modern infrastructure for smooth operations for industries and business enterprises. Infinity Industrial Park offers world-class amenities and facilities with wide roads, a police station, a power substation, fire station, public transport stage, hospital, and shopping mall. In addition, Infinity Industrial Park also offers CCTV cameras, 24-hour private armed security patrol, sewer, water, fiber optic cable, and 3-phase power connection. Added to public utility, canteen, and dining areas. Sail on the golden opportunity to invest in Infinity Industrial Park, fully serviced warehouses at a special price of 3,569 Kenyan shillings per square foot. For more inquiries, visit our website infinityindustrialpark.com.
Now, welcome back to the program tonight as we continue updating you on the news that have been making headlines today across the country. Now, just a reminder that you can start engaging us on our socials. Azimio Brian on Twitter, at Lookuptv. The hashtag we are using tonight is LookupWeekend. We are also live on Facebook and on YouTube, where you can send your feedback, and I'll be able to sample some of it as we continue with the program tonight. Also, a reminder that tonight on our Big Number segment, we'll be getting to understand what next for the Finance Act. I'll be speaking to Dedan Shege, who is an advocate of the High Court, getting some insights from him in regards to this particular act. Now, moving on. Deputy President Rigathi Gachagua, in a veiled attack at the opposition, has continued to defend the police amid concerns over the use of excessive force by the officers on anti-government protesters. Now, Gachagua further noted that the government will not reinstate the security detail of key opposition leaders until they call their troop to order.
I've heard you are going to have talks, well and good. But since I have not seen a commitment that you denounce violence and give Kenyans undertaking that you not go back to the streets, those policemen will stay on standby for now. If in the next 2-3 months you are of good behavior, there is no demonstration, there is no chaos, we shall return the men to you to guard you. Lakini saa hii haiwezekani. Kwa sababu tunaweza warudi kwa hiyo maneno, si ndio? During this maandamano, stones were being demanded that for you to pass you must have a stone. I don't think those stones were for eating ama ya kupeleka sadaka kanisani. Hiyo mawe ilikuwa ya kupiga Wakenya wengine na ile kubwa ya kupiga polisi wetu. And I want to say from the alliance here, I want to commend our police officers and IG Kome and the very able leadership and strategic guidance of Professor Kithure Kindiki for the professional manner in which they handled that ugly situation. The policemen never went to anybody's home. You came with the stones and rocks to stone them. What did you expect them to do? You stone policemen? There is a saying, Kikwetu, I don't know whether it is here in the alliance, usitupe mawe polisi. So you know it. Utatupa mawe wapi? Police. And I want to ask our leaders to know that these policemen are also human beings and they are Kenyans. That police officer is somebody's husband.
Right. Now, Security CS Kithure Kindiki has warned politicians using politics to propagate violence in the country. Now, speaking during a church service in Embu County, Kindiki noted that the opposition had the right to disagree with the government. They ought to voice their dissatisfaction in a peaceful way. Stella Malale with the details.
Speaking at St. Aloysius Gazanga Catholic Church in Embu County, when he joined the residents for Thanksgiving service, Kindiki noted that President William Ruto's administration is ready to fight a few rogue preachers who intend to mislead Kenyans to avert cases such as Shakahola massacre.
Tuko na uhuru wa kufanya mikutano na hata kuwa na maoni tofauti, lakini hakuna mtu ameruhusiwa, hakuna mtu ako na uhuru wa kujisingizia dini ama kujisingizia siasa, kuumiza wenzake.
In addition, CS Kindiki indicated that while the opposition has the right to differ with the government on certain policies, the differences cannot be resolved through protest.
The opposition has a right to disagree with the government on policy matters. Vyama vya upinzani viko na haki ya kuwa na maoni tofauti ya sera za kiuchumi na mambo ya kimaendeleo. Na sisi ambao ni walinda usalama hatuna shida yoyote kama watu wa upinzani wanatoa maoni tofauti ya sera za kiuchumi, za kisiasa. Lakini kuna wale wamejificha katika siasa na haki zao ambazo ni haki za kikatiba, kuumiza wananchi wenzao na kuharibu nchi yetu. Tumejipanga kama walinda usalama kuhakikisha tumekabiliana na kushinda wakora wote na magaidi ambao wanajisingizia ati ni siasa wanafanya, ili hali ni uhalifu. Wanaharibu uchumi wa Kenya, wanaharibu maisha ya watu, wanaharibu biashara za watu.
While warning politicians using politics to threaten national security, noting that no one will be allowed to cause damage through such unwarranted acts.
Violent riots that end up with deaths and destruction of property in the name of exercising political rights.
Stella Kilonzo, Lookuptv.
Now, Busia Senator Okia Omtata and 3 others have filed an appeal against the Court of Appeal ruling that lifted injunctions preventing the implementation of the Finance Act 2023. The 4 petitioners, Eliud Karanja Matindi, Benson Odiwol Otieno, Okia Omtata, and Brian Angima Oigoro, who are unhappy with the ruling, have filed an appeal to the Supreme Court. Now, taking to his Twitter, Omtata said, and I quote, "We have issued a notice of appeal against Friday's Court of Appeal ruling that lifted conservatory orders barring implementation on the Finance Act 2023. The appellate court temporarily lifted the conservatory orders barring the implementation of the contentious Finance Act 2023 on Friday, now clearing the way for the government to implement critical taxes that had been put on hold following the bill's suspension last month." Now, on the big number tonight, we focus on 211 billion. Now, this happens to be how much the government would have lost if the conservatory orders on the Finance Act would have stayed rather. Now, this is according to CS Treasury Njuguna Ndungu. The Court of Appeal lifted an order issued last month suspending the implementation of the Finance Act 2023 after Treasury CS Professor Njuguna Ndungu argued that the government loses $500 million shillings daily following the freeze. The CS moved to the appellate court through Attorney General Justin Muturi, arguing that the government stands to lose approximately 211 billion shillings in the current financial year. Now, a bench of 3 judges of the appellate court lifted the suspension placed on June 30th, now pending the implementation of the appeal filed by Professor Njuguna Ndungu. Now, Professor Njuguna Ndungu said the fees will make it difficult for the Kenya Kwanza administration to implement the 2023-2024 budget as planned, and some projects have to be suspended if the government is not allowed to raise revenue as proposed in the bill. Now, Justices Mohamed Osame, Kathurima Minoti, and Helen Omondi ruled that the Finance Act has a lifespan of 90 days, beyond which the next budgetary cycle is set in motion. Now, part of the court's ruling says, and I quote, "We have no doubt in our mind that the Finance Act and the Appropriation Act are interdependent. While the former provides for the generation of the funds, the latter provides for the expenditure. There can be no expenditure where the mode of generation of the funds has not been provided for." Now, the judges said on the figures, this is what they said on the figures, despite the actual figures being contested, it is certain that the revenue was to be collected with the operationalization of the act. Professor Ndungu had urged the court to lift the order, which was extended by the High Court on July 10th, arguing that the government has to borrow to bridge the gap in order to operate. Now, in the ruling, the three judges said tax is a continuous and annual mechanism, and the members of the public can get a rebate for overpaid taxes and levies when making subsequent tax payments. Secondly, the judges said, since the petitions challenge both the entire act and the specific provisions, the court can consider suspending the specific provisions whose implementation has an irreversible effect and cannot be refunded on the High Court ruling. Now, rather, on the High Court ruling, the appellate court said this, and I quote, "This is in contradiction with a blanket suspension of the act." Thirdly, the Appropriation Act, which was enacted on the backdrop of the Finance Act, is in place and is not under constitutional challenge. Lastly, had the trial judge considered the substantial and irreversible public interest in this matter, the court would have been hesitant to suspend the whole act. The judges ruled in that particular manner. I do want to engage my guests, my guest rather, that is Wakili Dedan Chege, to help us make sense of this particular matter. Hello, Wakili, can you hear me, or are you able to get me at this particular point?
Hello, Brian. I can hear you.
Oh, good. Awesome. Now, let's just try and make sense of this particular, development in regards to the Finance Act 2023. Right now, yesterday, we did see quite a number of, movements, impacts rather. I did see Safaricom moving in to say we are going to adjust the prices and when it comes to matters transaction, and also calls and all that, just to fall in line with what the court has said in the Finance Act 2023. Today, we are seeing Okiya Omtata, that is Senator for Busia, moving to the Supreme Court rather, to actually, challenge this particular ruling by the Court of Appeal. What is the future of this as far as law and matters law is concerned?
Yeah, so, Brian, what happened on Friday is a three-judge bench of the Court of Appeal lifted the ban that had been placed on suspected. And then discussed the order that had already been issued by the High Court. That the Finance Act be suspended. So as we speak right now, the Act is in place and can be implemented by the parties concerned with the bill, with the Act, or rather.
So is when we move to court to appeal this particular decision, right now I'm seeing quite a number of just like I mentioned earlier, we've seen some companies and different people just trying to start readjusting in regards to this particular act. What happens then when we go to court, to the Supreme Court, to appeal against the decision that had been made by the Court of Appeal?
We have two possible outcomes at the Supreme Court. The Supreme Court might uphold the decision of the Court of Appeal, or might overrule the Court of Appeal. So if the Supreme Court upholds the decision, that means the Act will remain in force. If the Supreme Court overrule the Court of Appeal and uphold the previous orders of the High Court, will mean that now the Act will cease to be in operation and will have status quo maintained. That is, we'll go back to the Act being remaining suspended pending the hearing of the application of the petition by Okiya Mtata.
Okay, another question I wanted to put across is in regards to if, because the Court of Appeal did argue that this Finance Act has a lifespan of 90 days. You know, after 90 days now, the making of the next budget is set in motion. What happens then, if at all we only have 90 days? Out of the possibility that we get to a point where this act, you know, the case is in court for a certain period of time, and we get to a point where we now start making adjustments and, you know, creating the next budget. What happens to this one that has already been, you know, debated and passed?
You know, as I always tell you, Brian, we have three arms of the government. That is the parliament, the executive, and the judiciary. And those three arms need to work interdependently at any given time. And now we are having situations where the parliament, where judiciary overrules parliament, the executive ignores orders by the judiciary. You know, that brings a situation of some sort of anarchy in this country. So I believe the drafters of the constitution and the doctrine of separation of powers was not supposed to be independently implemented, but rather interdependently implemented. And that's why we're having this kind of confusion going on, because I believe for us to have a proper democracy, we need to have all these three working independently but interdependently.
Okay. Wakili, I seem not to be getting your video. I don't know if you can fix that from that side as you prepare to answer this next question that I want to ask. Was there a possibility, because when the Court of Appeal actually, you know, looked at this and said, okay, there are some issues that you say are very contentious and are very important. If you're going to suspend it, why not suspend, you know, not the entire act, but some of the issues that you feel are very directly touching to the common mwananchi? Should have the courts, you know, from the High Court, when they made the first ruling suspending this, should they have looked at this and said, okay, we need not to suspend the whole act, but some of the you know, bills, or rather some of the issues that we are looking into this particular act, and say they are very punitive, just like Okiya Mtata did argue and say most of the things that we see in this particular act are very punitive and they're going to, you know, be harmful to the people of this particular country. Did we need to suspend the whole act from the onset?
You know, Brian, the courts can only issue orders as they have been prayed by the applicants or the petitioners. So what the High Court did was to issue the orders that had already been prayed by the applicants. So if Okiya Mtata and the co-petitioners had prayed for the entire act to be suspended, then the court could not go down, break it down to the specific provisions. It had to order the suspension of the entire act. So I believe it is upon the petitioners to go back to the drawing board and break down.
Okay, my last question. What will happen at the Supreme Court? What is likely to happen at the Supreme Court in regards to this? Hello, Akili. All right, that was Wakili Dedan Shege. We seem to have lost that particular connection. But yes, just gotten quite a number of the things that we needed to ask, trying to make sense of this particular act that has been a bone of contention in the country, bringing about quite a number of, varied opinions from different quarters. That is the political sector. Also the religious sector. There's some people calling for repealing the whole act and, have a conversation in regards to the same. We've also seen the opposition coalition actually calling for the repeal of the Finance Act 2023, arguing that it is punitive and it is going to, injure, a lot of people who are believed to be hustlers in this country, based on the taxes that have been imposed on this particular, that are going to be imposed on Kenyans after this act sees the light of day. We've already seen that. Yesterday, Safaricom did announce that it was going to review some of the prices when it comes to, withdrawals and transactions that you're going to be making through M-Pesa, and also phone calls and also data. So that is just one of the issues that are going to be expected to be happening across board when it comes to service providers and these taxes. Now moving on, the Kenyan vegetable market has been hit hard by scarcity of onions across various towns in the country. Now, over the past few weeks, the prices of onions have skyrocketed from 50 shillings per kilo to 150 shillings. As Noshin Mungasia now reports, many Kenyans are unable to buy the commodity in bulk as opposed to months before.
In Limuru Food Market, Kiambu County, the market shelves that were once filled with onions are now almost empty. Vendors are struggling to source an adequate supply of onions due to various factors, including unfavorable weather conditions that have severely affected homegrown onions and has now left Kenyans to depend on Tanzanian onion farmers.
Hili iliyopita tulikuwa tunauza hii kitunguru kilo moja 50. Saa hii imepanda mpaka 150. Kwa hivyo unakuta kama uko na 10,000 unakuta ni neti 2 tu umenunua ya kitunguu. Na 10,000 mbeleni ulikuwa unaleta neti 10 hapa. So imeenda sana hata watu wameshindwa na kununua hii kitunguu. Kama wamepungua juu ya bei.
Vendors in this market narrate how it has become extremely difficult to find a consistent supply of onions.
Sasa tumwekee kitunguu hata kama tulikuwa tunapika kama choma kama hiyo. Sasa unaambia customer akule fry juu ile kitunguu umeweka tu ni unaweza tu afford ni ya kuweka tu kwa fry. Choma hii sasa hatupiki juu ya kitunguu venye imekuwa bei.
Kitunguu ndio ziko bei sana. Vitunguu tazumiza sana. Vitunguu sasa ukitaka kununua lazima utumie pesa mengi ndio kachumbari hii nyanya hizi chikanye kitunguu. Sasa kitambo ulikuwa unaweka kitunguu moja kwa day, sasa unaweka kama 3 itasheka kachumbari.
The vendors are now pleading with the national government as well as the county government to guarantee farmers enough water to enable them to be independent and to also allocate enough capital to develop agriculture so as to ensure food security in the country.
Kama mkulima wa Kenya ndio wapate kitu kama maji, sababu wengi wako na mashamba lakini mashamba haina maji. Lakini tukua tuna maji. Hii kitu inatakanga tu maji kidogo. Kwa hivyo tukua maji, serikali kama inaweza kupatia maji kwa mashamba yetu, tunaweza lima. Sababu kitunguu tuna rely na nchi ya Tanzania. Tanzania wasipotupatia kitunguu kuna shida. Tena shida kubwa.
Noshin Mungasia, Lookuptv.
Now, the tussle between parents in Uasin Gishu and the county government continues to rage on after former Governor Jackson Madago dismissed claims of misappropriation of funds meant for the students to travel for further studies in Finland. Madago, who is the current senator, denied any involvement with First Choice Recruitment Agency, which reportedly struck a deal with the parents. However, the county government is now initiating talks with the parents who threatened to paralyze the devolution conference if their concerns will not be addressed.
I want you to develop very keen interest. And probably we might need to supply you with a list of students, their names, so that you can go on Facebook. Just a month ago, one of the students who was being a lot of noise had a very elaborate birthday party in Stockholm. In fact, it's called Happy Birthday the King. One of the child who has been making a lot of noise, and I know the parents, unfortunately, and we know where they started. He's saying, my biggest problem now is that I never imagined I will always be driving to work. Now his biggest problem is he owns now a car. Sasa shida si how to go, shida sasa ni kuendesha. You need to develop interest how students who you say are suffering are having birthday parties in cruise ship. I have served as a governor for 10 years. I have traveled. I have not even had a chance to be in the cruise ship. I'm only praying that one day I'm also rewarded to go on a cruise ship. If you say I was involved, you must provide evidence. Again, you know, it is a choice of how we want to solve issues. First choice is a private company. And it had no agreement. Unlike this program, as a county, we never had any understanding with First Choice. Just like any other company can have an event in this county, and they can ask you as a governor or an area MCA or an MP and invite you for a function, you can just attend that function.
We are inviting individual parents for scheduled meetings as follows. On 3rd of August 2023, 9 a.m., we will be meeting the 322 parents, Fort Finland and Canada parents with arrears with students abroad. So we'll be meeting them at the municipality hall on 3rd.
Now, Samuel Nyamai, or rather, let's get sporty tonight. Samuel Nyamai, the winner of the Vienna City Marathon, has won the 3rd edition of Machakos Green Run. Now, Nyamai clocked 28 minutes and 2 seconds to defeat his competitors, Charles Mbathiam and Kevin Kibiwot, who finished in the 2nd and 3rd place, respectively, in the 10-kilometer race.
Na pia my coach kwa ile training tumefanya through his program, na pia kujikakamua tu kimazoezi. Kuweza kushiriki katika mashindano ya Mainova Frankfurt Marathon mwaka huu.
Yeah, leo, I was not expecting that. For me, I was sure, yes, I'll be top 10, but sikuwa sure if nitachukua number 1. Kwa mbio zenye nimezikimbia hapo nyuma, for me, I might say ilikuwa kama mwanzo ya to be the best today, because sijakuwa position 1 in any of them.
Kwa mshindi wa kilomita 5 Machakos Great Run. Nimekimbia hii ni kama ndio mbio ya pili. Juu ile nyingine nilijaribu hapa Machakos, but sikushinda, but nilienda kutia bidii nyumbani.
Nimefurahi sana kuwa mshindi wa 5 kilometers, na kwa matumaini yangu ni nataka niwe mshindi kwa mbio sijajo, juu nimekuwa mshindi kwa 5 kilometers last year Machakos Great Run. Mimi nilikuwa mshindi, nikashiriki tena Mchitu One Day Tokena University, nikakimbia 10k nikakuwa mshindi, na zile mbio zingine ni hizi za cross countries nimekuwa nikishiriki, naingia position 1 ama 2.
Imaliza 5 kilometers.
Now, Kenya Professional Pools Association has facilitated an exciting inter-county pool competitions. Now, the tournament brings together the counties of Laikipia, Nyandarua, Nyeri and Murang'a, as well as a team from Laikipia County Assembly. The 2 days tournament was organized in Nanyuki, and it intends to bring pool lovers together and preach peace in the counties affected by insecurity.
Hii mchezo ya pool beleni haikuwa inashukuriwa kama mchezo ambayo inaweza chezwa professionally, but wakati huu tumeishukua kama mchezo ya kucheza na kuenda ligi zote mpaka ligi za nje. Hasa kwa kuregister hii Kenya Professional Poolers Association, haja yetu ilikuwa kushikanisha wananchi wote, na hasa mataifa ama communities ambazo ziko na tatizo la nini ya peace,
ambayo madhumuni yetu hasa ni kulete majamii yote pamoja tukishirikiana na counties ili tuweze kusambaza mchezo huu wa pool na uwe kielelezo kwamba vijana wetu hata wenye wamepotelea kule kwa pombe na kwa drug abuse tunaweza waleta pamoja katika huu mchezo wa pool. Tunaelewa sana mchezo huu ni wa youth ambao sana sana ndio wanatumiwa vibaya, na ndio tunataka tuwalete pamoja, tuwe na kikao na kuongea nao.
Tukiongea maneno ya mchezo, hii ni kitu ambayo moja inaleta maneno ya unity. Unity kwa household, unity kwa jamii na unity kwa the whole region. Ukisema whole region naongea kuhusu tuko under economic block ambayo inaitwa CELEB. Sasa tukiangazia maneno ya economics, ile maneno ya agriculture, ya livestock na pale wengine wanafanya kulima kahawa, pia maneno ya mchezo tunaitilia maana sana.
Ningetaka pia tuchukue na introduction kidogo.
Now, Kenya under-20 national rugby team Chipu finished 6th in the just concluded World Under-20 Rugby Trophy. Chipu fell 64-40 to Bats Cup champions in Zimbabwe. Now, Spain emerged champions after defeating Uruguay 39 points to 32 in the finals. The 2023 World Under-20 Rugby Trophy was held at Nyayo National Stadium. That was under-23. Apologies for that. Now, yes, let me sample some of your feedback here on the program. In regards to Azimio and Kenya Kwanza, Silas Osika says, sasa mjadala unahusu gharama ya maisha ama ni IBC? Right, that is a question he's asking. Well, just to answer that, they say, Azimio says, they look at gharama ya maisha, but there are also quite a number of things that they want addressed, with the Kenya Kwanza side having 5 points that they need to be looking at, including the IBC. But also the cost of living happens to be part of the agenda for the Azimio coalition. We have no idea whether it's going to be a possibility, but we do hope that since that's what they've been championing for, it also becomes a subject of debate on that particular table. Alright, Jenna Tieno says, alafu vitu zitashuka ama bado, still just questioned in regards to the cost of living. Alright, and quite a number of feedback here. John Waithira says, fanya poa, Kenya si ya mtu peke yake. Let me see if I can get one more as we wind up on this program tonight. I've seen something here. Let me take this. Okay. My country Kenya, this is log out there on Facebook. And one more, everything should be Katiba based, the rule of law and democratically insightful, not anything to cause more trouble like the last regime. Everything should be Katiba based, the rule of law and democratically insightful, not anything to cause more trouble like the last regime. This is Raymond Katua on Facebook on giving his opinion on what we are airing tonight. Thank you so much for making time for the program. It's 54 minutes past the hour. I do trust that you're going to have a wonderful evening. If you're going out, take care. If you're going to work tomorrow, then go to bed. My name is Brian Amwai. On behalf of everyone that has made this one a success tonight, from my producer Ian Kitani all the way to the director, that is Duncan Orondo, the sign language interpreter tonight, Angel Lois. Do have yourselves a lovely night. See you again on Tuesday.
We value your feedback and welcome your complaints about our programming and operations. Feel free to get in touch with us through 07